Hi, my name is Autif Kamal. This is episode 47 of Be Logical. This episode is about the first ever test tube burger and how it could be a way to combat problems resulting from overpopulation, such as not having enough food for that population. Now first, what is a test tube burger? Now, the gist of it is that scientists would use a synthesized construction of 20,000 proteins from the stem cells of a cow, and through some procedure they could make a 5-ounce beef patty. In this particular case, that beef patty cost $325,000 to produce. And of course, right now it's not yet market ready, but over time I think my speculation is that they would become more efficient in producing those patties, and once they have become efficient enough, then they would be market ready. Also, I need to point out that technically this patty is still beef, but you're not actually eating the cow directly. You're just eating the patty that was used from its cells. I'm telling you this because I know that Jonathan Garlick, who is a Tufts University researcher, says that he is a vegetarian, but he would eat this. Well, technically, if you eat that beef patty, you're still eating meat, so that would mean you're not actually a vegetarian. So just a minor technical point. Also, a lot of the information I'll be giving you from this video, or if you're listening just the audio, is coming from The Verge. The name of the article is World's First Lab-Grown Burger Unveiled at Public Tasting. And the name of the reporter or the writer is Amar Tour. Now, there have also been some taste tests, and one of the complaints made by Josh Schonwald, a Chicago food writer, is that it lacked flavor due to its being fat-free. And this is exactly what he had to say. He says, "The absence is the fat. It's a leanness to it, but the bite feels like a conventional hamburger." So my first response to that is that I think whether a person likes this particular burger, a fat-free burger, would just depend on the person. Like, I know for me, if I have to drink milk, because I don't drink milk, but if I have to, I prefer fat-free just because it tastes better to me, and I don't want to have the fat. Whereas with my dad, he prefers to have 2%, which he thinks is creamier. So I wouldn't say that this burger being fat-free is necessarily a flaw of that burger, but it won't satisfy every person's preference. Okay. Now, also, Hanny Ruetzler, a Austrian nutritionist, said this: "I would say it's close to meat. I miss the salt and pepper." And to that I would say that's really easy to resolve. Just add salt and pepper. Okay. Now, the good news, at least coming from these quotes, is that this patty does feel like a burger. The texture feels like a burger. So that's a good sign for this test tube burger. That'll be an easy transition for those who are used to eating like the burgers that come directly from the cow. Okay, now Mark Post, who is a Maastricht University professor, which is a university in the Netherlands, has made this claim, which is that meat production has reached its maximum capacity and demand will eventually surpass supply. That's a claim that I will examine later on. Now, he says that in 2050 the population will reach 9.6 billion, which I don't think is so crazy, but actually I think that the Earth's population could reach 9.6 billion sooner than 2050. The reason why I say that is because back in 2006 I was going to community college, and overpopulation was a topic that I had to write about for one of my English classes. And basically I remember that at that time the Earth's population was 6.6 billion. So it's 7 years later, and the Earth's population has already gone up by 3 billion. So I think it's very feasible that the Earth's population could reach 9.6 billion a lot earlier than 2050. Okay, so to examine Mark Post's claim, now beef consumption in 2011 was 25.6 billion pounds. The production was 26.2 billion pounds. So the consumption and production are only a billion apart. So yeah, they're pretty close to consumption is pretty close to surpassing production. I'm getting this information from the United States Department of Agriculture. The name of the document is U.S. Cattle and Beef Industry 2002 to 2011. In 2010, meat consumption was at about 517 million pounds. Meat production was at about 500, or sorry, meat consumption was at about 517 million pounds, and meat production was at about 521 million pounds. So again, consumption is coming pretty close to surpassing production. I'm getting this information from the United States Census, and the name of the document is Meat Consumption by Type and Country. So far it looks like it's very likely that Mark Post's claim will be accurate. Okay, now the reason why I was talking about meat is because all animals have stem cells and all animals have proteins. So if you can synthetically make beef patties through the use of stem cells, then you should be able to do it for chicken, for lamb, for pig, for whatever animal you choose. And so if it ever happens that our meat consumption does surpass our meat production, then this could definitely be a way to address that issue. Also, I need to go back to the earlier survey regarding the meat consumption and production. It says that it was at approximately in the millions. That would look like a discrepancy when it says that the beef consumption and production is in the billions. To that, I would say that I think they took different samples, or different sizes of samples at least, and that's why I see the discrepancy in the numbers between the millions for the United States Census survey and the billions from the United States Department of Agriculture survey. So that's just something that I wanted to point out for the discrepancy. Okay, and lastly, why make this synthetic meat? Why not just improve current meat production practices? And the reason I would give is that not an ethical reason, but more like a practical reason, which is that after you've killed an animal, it can never be used for food ever again, whereas stem cells, they regenerate. So as long as the animal is alive, and as long as you take those stem cells at a reasonable frequency, then you can continue to make more and more synthetic meat. So it has multiple uses, whereas killing the animal is a one-time use. And that is what I think is more practical about using synthetic meat than the meat from the actual animal. Okay, this is actually the last part that I want to talk about, which is synthetic meat will also have a good impact on greenhouse gases and thus climate change. So the production of synthesized meat requires 1% of land and 4% of water that traditional meat production practices use. Okay, so you're reducing greenhouse gases from livestock by 96%, and that's important since agriculture accounts for 15% of the greenhouse gases produced, and that'll matter to you if you believe in climate change. Okay, and I'm getting this information from the United Nations Environment Program. The name of the article is Growing Greenhouse Gas Emissions Due to Meat Production. And that is it for this episode of Be Logical. Alright, thank you.